All right, hello everyone. Apologies in advance for the quality of the video and the funny lighting. I feel like this is an interesting reflection of what seems to be taking place on this full moon. There's definitely a lot of divisionary qualities. This is a full moon in Pisces, so we've got a lot of discernment, a lot of sort of intellectualizing and philosophizing, but also ultimately doing what they want in the end. You know, Pisces are very hard to sway when they make a decision or when they feel that they are being called in a certain direction. They tend to go there without much hesitation otherwise. So even before I pull any cards, I was channeling and tuning in beforehand, and there's very much this theme of staying in your own lane and not being distracted by what is going on the outside of your world, and just really returning that focus and bringing that focus back to center, back to you, even if you feel that it might feel a little bit selfish. Pisces are they can be not necessarily selfish in the traditional sense of the word, but more self-focused in a way that can be off-putting to others, even though it's others that have to really deal with their own issues. They're sort of undistracted by other people, which really can give them an advantage to how they approach situations and how they bring in their mindset and really what they accomplish in this lifetime. I really don't know very many Pisces who aren't successful people, and you know, are still caring and very, very open-hearted people, but they know what's ahead of them and they tend to go there. So if you're new, welcome. It's Indigo Instinct Healing. I'm Kate, Indigo Instinct Healing on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please like, drop a heart if you're on Instagram, subscribe if you're on YouTube. The YouTube family is growing, which is super exciting, and I do 4-card readings for the new and full moons. 4 cards, primary reading up top, general energy for what is happening in this full moon, shadow energy down below, energy that we need to bring forwards so that we can help address it and we can understand our situation more fully. And then I do a block and a path read. So block on top is the energy that is keeping you stuck in a specific situation or in this general phase of the moon right now, your general life. And path underneath is the energy that we can see and we can bring into our situation in order to move forwards in a healthy and holistic way. I am still booking private readings. My promotional birthday sale is over, but you can still book a video reading for me, which has a much quicker turnaround, or a Zoom reading if you like. Or if you're in the HRM in Nova Scotia, you can always book an in-person reading as well. So let's get to this full moon in Pisces. And thank you in advance for your understanding about the slight shadow. Okay, primary energy. Woo! And shadow energy. I already feel that. You're going to go there. And we'll do block and path. Okay, put that aside. Primary energy for the full moon in Pisces. This is a major communication moon. So what is coming up in this card and for this primary energy is a few different things for a few different people. The way that I speak always sort of communicates to more than one layer. And what's coming up primarily is sort of a mother wound that is expressing itself in communication. So it does feel like a relational card. So whether this is a partner that you care about, a loved one, a friend, or it is the own internal dialogue that you have with yourself, there is some of that wounded sacred feminine that is coming up this full moon. So be mindful of the way that you're communicating, because most often when we come across conflict that feels very much like you're doing in your language, it is usually a sign that there is something going on with you that you are projecting outwards and that is affecting your communication. Now, this can also translate and is coming through as that sort of wounded feminine and wounded mother on the other side of the relationship. So whether that is a partner who is a female, or it is the relationship you have with your own mother, or perhaps your sister, the images I'm getting are very much about communicating what is important and recognizing that you may feel like you're walking in between sort of two barbed wire fences, and it is important, yes, to express what you're saying, and is important, yes, to get it out so that you're not suppressing it and so that it's not staying underneath the surface. But it's also going to be vital and helpful in this full moon to be very tactful in the way that you deliver your communication. You know, we're in a bit of a sensitive period right now in the planet. There is a lot of sort of final shedding before we shift into more of a sort of expansive and sort of like liberative, I don't know if that's a word, but more of an expansive feeling in spring of 2022, and this is sort of the end game of all of that shedding. So knowing that we're coming to the end of this, and often in the end periods is when people have the hardest time letting go, it is coming through in our communication as well, that sometimes people are just not in a position to receive and to hear. And the mother wound, the wounded feminine, sort of the wound of the mother planet, is very deep, and it is very old, and it's been around for a very long time. And there is a lot of betrayal and abandonment and wrongdoing that has brought about this type of wounding. So just being mindful of the fact that maybe it is important that you communicate what you need to communicate, but also being very gentle and very cautious in your language. And I don't by any means mean stepping on eggshells, but I do mean being very conscious about the time, the place, the situation, and the way in which you deliver what you need to say to this person. So that is our primary card. Our shadow card, interestingly, we've got a bit of a polarity in the masculine and feminine, and like I said at the beginning of this video, this reading might feel a bit polarized for you anyway. You might feel like some of this really resonates and some of this really doesn't, or that you're very much on one side of the fence or the other. So take note of that, and if you feel like you're on that deflective side and sort of that defensive side, ask yourself what you need to face and what you need to sort of bring forward so that you can shift yourself to the other side of the fence. So, shadow card, Father Sky, in reverse. Interesting. So, this is coming up more for the masculine collective. And again, by masculine, I mean the masculine within yourself, or if you are a male or identify as male, this sort of side of that energy and that sort of polarization of the body and the mind of the masculine side, which very much has not had the space to express, has not had the space to feel. Okay, by express, I don't mean like take up space, because we all know that is something that the masculine has had plenty of, but I mean more in a way of expressing the softer side of things and their emotions and allowing themselves to be fragile and soft and needing to be nurtured and seeking help and allowing yourself to recognize where you are just trying to do it by yourself because you are being prideful and stubborn about doing it by yourself. And this can be extremely terrifying and very scary to allow yourself to put down the shield and to put down the travel pack and to put down the image that you've been carrying that you are a certain way, because it can be very the word that's coming through is disassociating, to identify with this part of yourself that is a little bit squishier and a little bit more subject to being hurt. The image that's coming through is this idea of the masculine getting a cut when they're quite young, 5 years old, scraping their knee and feeling like they have to toughen up and they have to suck it up and they have to be brave and be courageous. Whereas we're in a period of the world right now where it is so essential that the masculine can feel like they can cry over the losses that they've had and feel like they can express themselves in a way that harbors tenderness and harbors gentility. So allowing ourselves to reframe our notions of what is feminine, what is masculine, and what makes one so. That is going to be our shadow energy for the full moon in Pisces. And our block and our path. Yeah, okay, so this isn't going to be super comfortable for a lot of you. We are still in Virgo season, so, being analytical, taking notes, doing dissections, analyzing, but also being thorough are all these traits of Virgo that are, the lesser appreciated, especially by the individual, but taking the time to reflect truly, and by truly I mean reflecting without ego, reflecting without judgment, reflecting without holding on to an idea of what is correct, what is right, what is wrong. This is our block for the full moon in Pisces. So when we are holding on to an idea or a perception of how things should be, it is very easy to quickly become righteous, which is one of the traits of Virgo that is sort of lesser favored. And it is very easy to become even more solidified in our opinions and our beliefs when we are holding on to an idea of what is right and what is wrong. Again, it's that polarization, right? One side of the fence or the other, instead of, in this case, removing the fence entirely and being able to observe things as a general playing field. So with the Mirror Guardian for this block of this time of our lunar cycle, allowing ourselves to take a look at ourselves and take a look at our own opinions and beliefs without being super critical. It's very easy for us to take a look at ourselves and then cut ourselves down and say, oh, well, you shouldn't be doing this and you should be doing that. But really, all you've done in that situation is taken that judgment and you've flipped it on yourself, which doesn't help with healing you. It doesn't help with healing your situation. So if you can, this card is a guardian card. She is gentle and she is comforting in the way she delivers her messages. So can you reflect on what's going on in this current situation? Can you reflect on your opinions and beliefs without the harshness of judgment? And maybe then it might be easier for you to find a path forwards. And our path. This is our way through for the full moon in Pisces. Right, yeah, okay. So we got the Lord card, but we got it in reverse. So interestingly, it seems to be a very malleable reading, a very soft sort of reading, but getting our Lord in reverse as our way through is very much knowing that we do not have to be fully trained in battle before we go into our situation. We don't need to, I often think of Mulan, the film Mulan, that, she didn't know 100% what she was doing when she went into the situation that she had for herself. And if you haven't seen Mulan, it's a Disney film that basically has a female warrior who dresses up as a male to become part of the army, and she throws herself in there and has no idea what she's doing. And she makes many mistakes, but she also finds this deep ability within herself to move forwards and to conquer all of these, not only sort of conceptualizations of what women were able to do, but also just break barriers sort of all over the place. So our way through for this full moon in Pisces is not about knowing how to be the person with the staff and to be the person with the cloak and the antlers and the sort of royalty of nature and move forwards with courage and sort of persistence. It's more about moving forwards even though we don't really know what we're doing. We made our staff out of a stick we found on the ground. We made antlers out of a flower crown, and we're kind of just going for it. Because that is the way we are going to create new platforms for people, new ways of communicating. It's going to be messy. Reconciliation is messy. Communication is messy. Breaking boundaries, creating spaces, learning how to hold space for marginalized communities and marginalized people is messy because we don't always know, am I being offensive? Am I not being offensive? Did I say the right thing? Did I use the right pronoun? People appreciate effort, and the more that you are willing to be messy and effortful in your attempts to move forward and to create more space for this communication and for this global healing, we are going to get so much further than if we hide in our rooms and we hide in our houses trying to be perfect or figure it all out before we take a step forwards. So that is your reading for the full moon in Pisces. Again, please drop a comment if you're on Instagram, and I am trying to get more visibility for these readings. I love doing readings. I love doing these for you. I love doing them privately. So subscribe, drop a comment on either Instagram or YouTube. And if you would like, please book a private reading with me. I would love to be able to channel for you. Thank you for your time and your listening, and I will see you for the new moon in October. Blessings.